evening, everyone. I am glad you are tuned in to our fourth installment of the Herbal Happy Hour. I am your host, Angelique Sobande Greer. I am the visionary and founder of the NCB School of Herbalism and Holistic Health, the oldest African-American herbalism school in the South. We're moving into our 25th year. And the visionary and founder of Sacred Waters Retreats for Women of Color and the annual Afro-Botany Immersion Certification Program held every August in beautiful and sunny Costa Rica. Speaking of sun, y'all, there is none. Are they scorching the sky? What's going on? There's no sun. It's cloudy where I am in Tennessee. It's raining. But it's good for my garden because I need some rainwater on my garden so I can grow these vegetables and all these good plants. So I'm thankful for the rain, but I sure would like some sun. So I hope that wherever you are on this quarantine afternoon, that the week has been valuable for you, that you have been able to have an epiphany of some sort, you know, something that you was having an issue with, you had an epiphany for it, and maybe you came up with a solution. I hope that wherever you are, you have had less chaos than normal. I hope that wherever you are, the person that you're quarantined with is somebody that you like. I hope that. I really hope that. I hope there's somebody that you like, you know, somebody that you love. If you're single, then I hope that you like yourself. You know, sometimes that's important, liking yourself. Before someone else can like you, you gotta like yourself. So I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us this afternoon. We had a really good time on our podcast last night, Sea Soil and Soul. If you missed it, the replay will drop on our YouTube channel. If you could go to YouTube and subscribe to Sacred Waters Retreat page and, you know, click on the notification so you'll know when the video for last night drops. Then you'll know when this one drops as well. We had some brothers on, some dynamic brothers last night who really allowed us into their mind and their heart and their soul. And our topic was coping with compassion. So I hope that if you missed it last night, that you'll take a moment to watch the replay on our YouTube channel. Tonight, however, we've got some really cute, tasty drink. Bet on Black. I hope you saw the ad for it. Always Bet on Black. I named this Always Bet on Black because the main ingredient is blackberries, and I just happen to be of the Black persuasion, so to say. So I figured Always Bet on Black was a good title for this drink. I have not made this drink since I left living overseas. So it's been years since I've made this drink, but it is a good one. It is an easy one to do. You don't need many ingredients. You don't have to be a culinary artist. You don't even have to be an herbalist. You just need to have some creativity and, you know, maybe you just want to be liquor bougie, like I am, liquor bougie, hashtag. So this drink is a good drink as a brunch drink because we're going to be using Prosecco. You can also use this drink because it has rosemary in it. It works well with any type of red meat if you're a red meat eater. It also tastes pretty good with like rainbow trout. So those are the foods that it tastes good with. If you're going to pair this drink with vegetables, or if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, this goes really good with cabbage, like a stir fry, something with cabbage in it. Brings that out. Brussels sprouts. This drink is also enhanced when you eat that with Brussels sprouts. It is also good with couscous. Believe it or not, couscous. I don't know how many of you have had couscous before, but couscous. And you can actually add some of the rosemary to the couscous so that you kind of have the duality and the flavor. So let's get started. I'm going to do some quick housekeeping rules for our podcast. So if you are just tuning in and you've never tuned in before, I've been making this statement the last few weeks. So if you are in motion, meaning you're cooking dinner, you're on your treadmill, you're talking to someone, do me a favor, turn your video feed off, leave your audio on. And what this does is it allows everyone else to focus, because if I've got 50 people on the screen and somebody's in motion, it makes them a little distracted. So just like you would in a classroom, I'm going to ask you to just turn off your video feed if you're doing a lot of motion or if you're doing something else, and then turn it back on when, when you're still. I'd still like to see your face. Put up a pretty picture of yourself if you're going to turn off your video feed. It's good for me. Even though I'm in my living room and there's nobody here, I'd like to know that there's some people out there that I can look back at on the screen and see their faces. So thank you for that. Tonight's drink, Bet on Black, really simple. Like I said, I'm going to hop down off this chair. Let's see. You have some simple ingredients. You've got fresh rosemary. You can see this here. Your rosemary should be fresh. And how you're going to know it's fresh, you're going to have to smell it. It should be definitely green. And this one, of course, is straight from the plant, so it still has a stem. This is just not the rosemary leaves. This still has a stem, and that's fine because you can throw all of that into the pot. But you definitely want to make sure it's fresh. Last week I told the podcast audience that if you begin to make a simple syrup, which we're going to do with this particular plant tonight, if you make a simple syrup and you put your herb into the mixture to let it steep, to allow it to steep, so that you can extract the medicinal properties and the flavor. If you can't smell that while the water is simmering, your plant probably wasn't as fresh as you thought it was, unless you picked it yourself. Unless you're growing it yourself, then you know it's pretty fresh. But smell is the first way. Your smell and your color are going to be your first wave of knowing how fresh your plant is. So fresh rosemary. And then the recipe calls for 1 cup of fresh blueberries. I did have fresh blueberries, and it was the package that I got was 1 cup, to the T. I don't know how they did that. Maybe, I guess it was pre-measured. It had to be. But I had to pull out 2 blackberries so that I could add them to the drink. So you want to make sure that you have some fresh blackberries. You can use frozen blackberries. The simple syrup won't come out as strong and as, I don't know, it comes out a little different. You can use frozen blackberries if you have them. Nobody will know. Your guests won't know because they'll be drunk or maybe a little tipsy. So no one's going to tip their glasses and say, oh, these are frozen blackberries. So you can use frozen blackberries. It's okay. It's okay. You can use them. So 1 cup of frozen blackberries, and then make sure you leave some out or you buy some extra because you want those to garnish your glass. Okay, so we've got the rosemary and we've got our blackberries. All right, so I'm going to put that back. So the next thing you're going to need is, we're going to make this drink 2 ways tonight, just so you'll have some different choices. You're going to need a fine bottle of Prosecco. Can you all see that? This brand happens to be Bellitti. It's an Italian Prosecco. I like this brand. Shout out to Bellitti. Maybe they'll send us a bottle or something, a new flavor for the next Herbal Happy Hour. But I love this brand. There are some Proseccos that are just downright nasty. I particularly like this particular brand of Prosecco. So, whatever your fancy is, choose your own Prosecco, but you're going to need some Prosecco. And then for the alternative spin on this drink, you can use, if you can't get fresh or frozen fruits, your blackberries, You can use a blueberry schnapps, or you can get a blackberry schnapps. So today I'm going to alternate. We're going to have one blackberry made with fresh, and then one made with the schnapps, if a Ken wants the blueberry. I particularly am going to go with the fresh drink. He may opt to go with the fresh one, but I want you all to know that you can also use blueberry schnapps or blackberry schnapps, whichever one you prefer, if you don't want to use the fresh fruits. So what I did, I pre-prepared, like I always do every week. I pre-prepared the simple syrup. So if you've just tuned in and you haven't been on one of our Herbal Happy Hours yet, I'm going to go through these quick instructions on how to prepare your simple syrup. So this is the the blackberry simple syrup. It is super easy to make. Simple syrups are easy to make. And the good thing about simple syrups is once you make them, you can put them in a cute little glass like this, and you can store it in your fridge. And the simple syrups can be used not only in drinks, but they can be used on your food. Imagine a salad, right? A salad mixed with a little bit of vinegar and a little bit of oil mixed in with the simple syrup. You can taste it, can't you? Yep. This will brighten up a syrup. This will brighten up a salad, definitely. So you can use your simple syrups in salads. And if you like to make your own salad dressings, you can use them as a seasoning over your vegetables. If you're going to bake them or roast them, you can also use your simple syrups over like seafood. It tastes really, really good over seafood as a marinade. So simple syrups will not go to waste in your fridge if you make them, and if you make a larger quantity. So this simple syrup was an easy combination. So you take your saucepan, you take 1 cup of blackberries, 1 cup of plain white sugar, just plain white, old regular, cancer-causing, diabetical sugar, white sugar. That's what I use, okay? I prayed over it, so it's gonna be good. It's all right, it's okay. But if you like to use another form of sweetener, if you have a pre-existing health condition, it is my pleasure to give you this disclaimer. You should use something else. Don't rev up your diabetes if you know you like sugar. Don't use white sugar. Use an alternative. I have not tried a simple syrup with agave nectar, but honey does make a great simple syrup. You can also use turbinado sugar. You can use, I have not tried it with stevia yet. I would like somebody to try to make a simple syrup out of stevia and see how that comes out. Let me know if somebody is, if somebody out there watching has some time on their hands. I think we all have a little bit more time than normal on our hands. So if you'd like to try a recipe making a simple syrup using stevia, let me know how that comes out. And let me know how it tastes too. Because stevia has a back here, sometimes got a little tart taste. So stevia can be used. I just have never used it to make a simple syrup. So sweetener of your choice, you need at least 1 cup if you're going to use sugar-based. So turn that pot on, that saucepan on. Did I already say 1 cup of water? I think I did. 1 cup of water with a cup of sugar. Turn that saucepan on to a rolling boil till that sugar dissolves. You want to keep stirring. Don't be a kitchen bandit and put it on and walk away and do something. Like go text or use a bathroom or something. Be there for your pot. Be there for your simple syrup. Okay? Stir it up till it dissolves. And then after you see the sugar dissolve, what I want you to do is turn that pot down to maybe like a medium high and throw in your 1 cup of blackberries. Now, your blackberries probably will begin to pop. They might pop depending on how high medium high is on your stove. Now, medium high isn't like super high on my stove, so my blueberries didn't pop. I could do it without a lid. If you can't do it without a lid, make sure you put a lid on that saucepan. When you see those blueberries starting to break down and you see that they're starting to, kind of get mushy, get a fork and start polarizing them inside the pan with the fork. I have not used a masher. I don't know how that would go. I've always used a fork, so a fork works well. But if you wanted to get like a potato masher or something like that, or if you had a large mortar, you could do that. It's your choice how you want to grind these up in the pot. But you want to make sure that the blackberries are completely broken down inside that mixture. Once all the blackberries are complete, you want to turn it down even lower, and then you want to begin to add your rosemary. Now, most of my rosemary was about this long, so what I did is I just broke it in half, and I probably threw one full bunch of rosemary in. No measurements, because I don't usually do measurements. I usually just kind of when I'm brewing and making, and I just kind of eye it, the old-fashioned way. So if you have a good bunch of rosemary, throw that into the pot. If you stem and all, if you only have access to the rosemary leaf itself, you're going to probably need about a half a cup to maybe even a full cup. It just really is going to depend on how well your rosemary looks. Like this is some really good rosemary. She's really healthy. I appreciate her. If your rosemary is looking kind of skimpy and it's already, like, the leaves are already kind of brown, you may want to do a whole full cup of rosemary. Now, just because the leaves are starting to turn brown doesn't mean that you can't use it. Does it still have its aromatic scent to it? Does it still have a significant amount of green to it? You can still use it. The brown is just, it's just saying that I'm on my way out. Go ahead and use it. Actually, it's probably the best time to use it, unless you're going to grind down your rosemary and actually use it in a seasoning blend. So throw the rosemary into the pot after you've turned it down a little bit more from the medium high. Don't turn it down all the way low because you definitely want to be able to still have the solution hot enough to extract the medicinal and aromatic properties of the rosemary. So throw that rosemary in. I think I simmered mine for maybe 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. I forgot what I put on the actual recipe, but eye it yourself and see, what it's looking like. Put your nose over, don't burn yourself from the steam. Put your nose over and smell it and see if you can smell the rosemary. If you can smell the rosemary in this mixture, you're doing good. Around about the halfway mark, when you are when you decide that, or however long you decide you want to marinate everything, turn it down on low and then put a top over it and just let it finish simmering. And then about 5 minutes, maybe about 5 minutes of that, maybe 10, turn it off and just let it sit. All right. So after you finish letting this particular syrup sit, you're going to have a 2-strain process, because between the seeds and the skin of the blueberries and the leaves of the rosemary, it's going to make a really, really beautiful mess in the pie. So you're going to have a 2-strain process for this. So what I did was I have a large stainless steel funnel, and that's another thing when we talk about preparing things like simple syrups, or even if you are a budding herbalist or a novice herbalist and you are preparing items, you're making items, always try to use stainless steel. Plastic, it just, my granny would turn over in her grave if you use plastic making herbal preparations. No, stainless steel is always the best. So try to get a stainless steel funnel for yourself. It's good to have in the kitchen. It cleans up easy too. So I use a stainless steel funnel and a stainless steel, not a sifter, a stainless steel mesh gosh, I don't know what to call it. Strainer. Thank you. My husband, he's good. He always knows my words, right? It's good to have somebody like that. So a mesh strainer and my stainless steel funnel, and I took the funnel, added it to the glass, and then put the mesh strainer on top of the funnel, and then I began pouring it. Now you can't pour it too fast because this mixture this week is super thick, and I use the back of a spoon. I turn the spoon over, and I use the back of the spoon while the mixture is in the strainer, and I just kind of go around the strainer with it to make sure I get all of the berries and all of the rosemary into the jar. Now, I will say that the mixture I made today made this full bottle, and it also made a jar, about an 8-ounce jar full. So I have plenty of of this blackberry rosemary simple syrup on hand for anything that I may need it for. So when you're making your simple syrups, just make sure you have a container, preferably glass. Don't store it in plastic. You want to store this in glass so that it does not create any bacteria. You want to make sure that your glass container has been washed out. You could do it old school style. Add a drop of bleach to the add a drop of bleach to the dishwater and wash your containers out like that. Or you could just simply boil them if you wanted to sterilize them. But they do need to be, exceptionally clean, because you're going to be pouring a sugar solvent in that's been mixed with fruits. And yeah, those two combinations together, they love bacteria. They love it. Or the bacteria loves them. Yeah, that's what it is. The bacteria loves them. So we don't want bacteria growing in your simple syrup. So once you strain that off, you'll have this beautiful blackberry rosemary simple syrup. Really, really nice. I really suggest that you try to make this and see what comes out. So the next step is the easiest step, right? It's the easiest. We're going to get these 2 martini glasses. This drink actually works best in a flute. And of all the glasses I don't have any flutes. So I have martini glasses, I have bourbon glasses, I have cocktail glasses, I have champagne glasses. But I don't have I don't have the flute that I would prefer to pour this drink in. So we're going to do this martini style tonight. So you can get the glass of your choice. You can even use this type of glass if you wanted to. You could just use a regular glass. It's not as pretty, and especially if you're going to serve this to guests, get some pretty glasses. Pull out the pretty stuff. Why are you harboring that stuff? Like, it's collecting dust. You remember you had somebody in your family who had a china cabinet, and like they never used that stuff in there unless it was a special occasion, and then they died? I mean, I know that's morbid, but like, use your stuff. Live your life. Use your china. Use your good glasses. The good glasses. Use your good glasses. You know what I mean? These are not for everyday use, especially if you have children. You don't want them walking around talking about Kool-Aid, please. In these glasses. But, you can drink your drinks out of your good glasses. Drink your drinks. Live your life. Celebrate. Let's celebrate, okay? Right? Okay. So, this is simple. We want to take our simple syrup. I get sidebars all the time. So, just be patient. It's a happy hour. You all gathered. You have nothing to do. It's happy hour. Everybody come up to the bar when I'm finished and have a free drink on me. Yeah, then we can chat it up. Maybe the DJ will play some music for us. No, there's no DJ. The DJ in my head. You're going to need a shot pour. This side is a 1-ounce pour. This side is a 2-ounce pour. And because we're going to use martini glasses today, I'm only going to do a 1-ounce pour of the simple syrup. If you are using a bigger glass, or a deeper glass, then you want to do a 2-shot pour of your syrup. If you are diabetical, you are going to want to use a 1-side shot pour, because we don't want you, ma'am, mister, falling out on the floor, hollering about your sugar. Somebody get me some medicine. And then, you know, you're having an attack, all because you got a sweet tooth and you wanted more sugar. Okay, you get what I'm saying? Go easy. Be easy on yourself. Go easy on your body. All right. So 1-shot pour of the simple syrup. Isn't that beautiful? Don't you hear the angels calling? You don't hear the angels? Okay. All right, 1-shot pour. And then we're gonna pour this Prosecco in. Oh, you know, I said I was gonna do the other version, but he doesn't want the other version. He wants this version. He wants the real fruit. He's spoiled. Then we're gonna take this Prosecco and Prosecco in. Oh, she's beautiful. Thursday is my date night with my husband because we do this podcast. So, you know, we drink, we make it a date night, at least for an hour. And you want to stir that just a little bit. Make sure you stir that syrup up. And now remember, I am liquor bougie, so I like things, all things aesthetic. So you want to add a fresh blackberry, and guess what? Add some sprigs of rosemary. Now, here's my other disclaimer. Make sure that when you're making this drink for anyone other than yourself, that you let them know that this is an herbal mocktail or cocktail, and that there may be remnants of herbs, fresh herbs, floating in the drink, so that they don't think that you are serving them a dirty glass. Yes? Okay. That's necessary. So in this drink, I wish you could see it from this angle, looking down into it, but the rosemary is floating on top of the blackberry in a very beautiful way. I told you I'm liquor bougie. So this one doesn't want to do right, so I'm going to pick her up and set her on top of this blackberry. Oh, she doesn't want to do right. She wants to do her own thing. So this beautiful drink can now be served and sipped and enjoyed in the comfort of your home. I hope that when this is all over and you begin to act and respond to the human need of being around people, that you will have some type of event that you can serve these drinks in. The other thing that I want to tell you is, if you don't drink alcohol and you want to make this into a mocktail, the only thing you need to do is you can add sparkling water. Just add some sparkling water in place of your Prosecco. All right, it won't taste as good, but it's good. It's still a good mocktail, an herbal mocktail. So you can always replace your alcohol in any of the drinks I make with sparkling water. Get the best sparkling water. You can even bump it up and do a flavored one. I'll tell you one good flavored sparkling water that works well with this: watermelon. Watermelon and blackberry and rosemary. Great drink combination. And of course, if you wanted to do a simple syrup, watermelon simple syrup, you could do that and just add the blackberry simple syrup and the watermelon simple syrup to the drink, 1 shot of each, and it would set your cocktail just right. So I am going to take a sip of the one that didn't want to do right. Oh, that's good, people. That's good. Cheers to all of you out there who have made it through another week. Cheers to everyone who is still alive and well on the planet. We remember those who have passed away in distress and agony and alone. We remember those elderly who don't have anyone to visit them in the nursing homes. We remember our ancestors. We remember all the people who paved the way for us all to be here. Cheers, cheers. Thank you to all the people who join us every Thursday for this herbal podcast. So the next thing that we want to talk about is, hold on, I gotta take a sip. This is really good. The next thing I want to talk about is the actual herb that's in this drink. So we talk about rosemary, and what I want to know from any of you tuned in tonight is anybody using rosemary? Does anybody know anything about rosemary significantly that, you know, I mean, I know people use it in seasonings. They use it, you know, culinary. But what else do you know about rosemary that could enhance your day-to-day life? How does rosemary work with the body? How should rosemary be integrated into our body system so that we can live for life and longevity, so we can live for health and longevity? What properties are found in rosemary that you know of, or maybe you don't know? You know, it's not a quiz. You can Google it, put it in the chat, and let's see what you come up with. Or if you want to unmute yourself, let's talk about it. Somebody give me something on rosemary. Now, I'm the herbalist, so I know some things about rosemary, but I want to know what you know about rosemary. How does rosemary affect the human body? What are the effects of rosemary for the body? And is rosemary a good plant to have around? You should have it in your garden. You really should. It's a really basic plant. You should have it. Anybody want to take a stab? Let's see. Hold on. I got to see who we have on the line. Who do we have? Is there anybody who wants to take rosemary and tell me what we got? Unmute yourself. Can you unmute yourself? Do I need to unmute you? Can you do it? No, I don't know if they can unmute themselves. Again, I'm gonna have to have my husband unmute everyone just in case. Oh no, Melissa.
Hey Sobande.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm well. Yeah, I'm over here looking it up because I know I used rosemary in steam. I put it in the vaporizer and the do a little steam. So I'm trying to look up why I was asked to do that. So I know it was for a good reason.
Okay. And when you say steam, are you talking vaginal or facial?
Facial.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. We have time. Take your time. There's no rush. She's talking about using rosemary in a steam. Now, she's talking facial steam, but rosemary can be used as part of a collection of herbs in a vaginal steam as well. You want to be careful with vaginal steaming and rosemary because the oils of rosemary could be irritating, you know, to the surface of the vagina, the outside surface of the vagina. You always want to be careful when you're playing around with your vagina anyway. She's so sensitive.
So it's an antimicrobial.
Yes.
So that's probably why we had to put it in to clean the air.
Okay. Did you mix it with anything? Did you have that with anything?
I think sage and tea tree oil. So it's like a
sage and tea tree oil. Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. I think someone just said that they use it as it's good for them to boost the immune system. Yes. How do you use it to boost the immune system? In what form is that used? What form? I didn't see whose name that was. Who was that said that? What form do you use it to boost your immune system? Oh, I use it in a tea or tincture. Yes. Now listen, rosemary tincture. I have never had, in all my herbalist days, I have never had rosemary tincture. I've never taken a rosemary tincture. I'm thinking about it right now, and it's probably pretty strong, but definitely would be a good way to get it in your system rapidly. Spirit is whispering to me, rosemary tincture mixed with oregano oil. Has anybody ever combined those two together? Rosemary and oregano oil. That might be a good one. You made one with rosemary, garlic, and ginger. Okay. All right. Read your chat box, everyone. She had a good little recipe in there. What's another way? Oh, no, Melissa, back to you. So you said you're using the steam. So how did you do that? Tell us how you prepared it?
So I had the diffuser, so fill it with water, and I used the essential oils, rosemary, sage, tea tree, drop that in there, and then let it diffuse and just keep the air clean and as you said, boosting immune system and killing anything in the air.
Okay, so it's another form of our natural Lysol.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely a good form of our natural Lysol, and it works wonders for breathing it in. The bronchial tubes keeps the bronchial tubes nice and clear and cleansed. It keeps our nasal passages really cleansed and clear. When you think about when you're breathing in these oils through your diffuser, you think about, how it hits is it the cilia? Is it the hair in your nose called the cilia? How it hits the hair in your nose and cleans, it's able to clean the microbes, any of the dirt microbes that have attached themselves to the hair in your nose before it hits, your larynx and, your back of your throat and then down. The whole body is just like a masterpiece, right? So we have these herbs, and we have different ways of using these herbs that really, really are beneficial to our entire our body and our body system. And so I've always said, and I'm always going to believe that herbs know how to integrate themselves in the body. As humans, we just don't know how to integrate ourselves with the plants. So the goal is always to become one with the earth and not trying to take over the earth. Just figure her out. She's there for the lessons. So just figure out, get still and just figure her out. And the plants will begin to talk to you, and the plants will become an amazing part of your journey. Even if you're not an herbalist, you don't have to be an herbalist to be to hear the messages and the stories of the plants. The medicine of the plants really, really will inspire you to do other things that will pull your heart song into what you're truly passionate about. Plants have always been my vessel. They've always been my tools. I have never been big on houseplants. I do have a lot of houseplants, but I've always been into the medicinal plants. So it's always my thing. What else did someone find out? Anybody else want to unmute themselves and tell me about rosemary, how it's beneficial to the human body or how they've used it in the past? Some recipes maybe that they can share. If you have a quick recipe you want to share, put it in the chat box. Put it in the chat box, and let's see how we can take this thing to the next level. Take a drink, y'all. You like this one? He likes this one. I got rosemary. Anybody want to take a stab at rosemary? Properties, what it does, how good it is. Rosemary, has anybody ever used rosemary in a hair wash? hair wash, hair rinse. No one? Really? Rosemary is, I have a sister friend who makes a hair rinse. Yeah. I had many moons ago. I'm telling you, if I were to tell you all my progression in the field of herbs, it wouldn't blow your mind. But you know, phases and stages. So at one stage in my herbalism career, I had an entire product line. This is back when there was no Instagram, no Facebook, no Twitter, and you know, no really other women of color, and definitely African American sisters working in this field and doing things like that. You know, I was an anomaly. Had an entire product line. I used my great grandmother's recipes to create the products. Some of them I enhanced, and some of the ingredients I changed over, just because, you know, she used lard and a lot of things that, you know, just were available for her and were healthy during that era. But I wanted to, you know, get a fresher look and a more healthier perspective on combining other base ingredients with plants. So anyway, that's a sidebar. I made a hair rinse, and my hair rinse contained, my main ingredient was rosemary. Let me tell you how rosemary stimulates the scalp. It brings it opens up the blood vessels, and it brings that oxygen back to the surface of the scalp. Stimulates the scalp. So rosemary in a hair rinse. I also had rosemary in a shampoo, which you could feel. It's rosemary and tea tree and, you know, some other stuff I had. My base was Castile soap. You can make your own hair shampoo. Just figure out, you know, what your skin type is. Is it normal? Is it dry? Is it combination? Figure out your skin type, and then you can, there's so much information out there now. You can figure out, you know, how to put together your own herbal shampoo. And I find that when you make your own products, I mean, out of convenience, it's convenient to just pick something up, but it feels better to me, at least, when you make something of your own. The shampoo that I had not only left your hair tingling, your scalp tingling, but I could tell that it was definitely, you know, opening up spots in my head where where the skin was probably, the scalp was probably dead. You know, it hadn't had enough brushing. I had locks. You know, didn't have enough stimulation to the scalp. The shampoo I made also had a little bit of sea salt in it, just to, you know, to be able to bring up the old residue in the scalp. So there are so many combinations you could do. You can make your own. You can make your own. I'm telling you, you can make it on. Just try it. You got plenty of time. Where are you going? You got something else to do? You going somewhere? Got a trip? A date? What? Nothing? Quarantine? Oh, okay. Well, then make your own shampoo and see what you come up with. Order all your stuff on Amazon, or, you know, from wherever your source is. Order something. I would suggest Castile as a base for your shampoo if you're gonna try the shampoo. Castile is a really good mild soap. It's the oldest one ever, and it just works for everything. I've never known Castile not to work for anybody. Like, someone with even really like bad acne, or really, you know, the skin is difficult, Castile's still the best soap to use, I think, and it's a safer one on the planet. What else can we utilize good old Mother Rosemary for? Anybody?
Somebody said antifungal, antibacterial.
Antifungal and antibacterial is what I hear. That's great. In what ways would you use it as an antifungal? Antifungal. And when we're talking antifungal, we're talking yeast. You know, like athlete's foot. Maybe you have digestive yeast. Maybe it's showing up as vaginal yeast. Maybe you have thrush. That's yeast. Maybe you have severe dandruff. That is also a form of yeast. You know how babies get cradles cap? Sometimes your scalp can get that way, and that's a form of yeast as well. And it's showing itself on the outside of the body. A lot of times we are conditioned to believe that yeast, especially in women, yeast only shows up in the form of a vaginal infection, and that's just not true. When it comes out of a hole, it's coming from the gut. So you have to be very dedicated to healing the gut first and destroying the pathogen of yeast internally in your intestinal tract, in your circulatory system. Yeast loves to grow in dark, damp places where there is lots of stuff to keep it fed. So the question becomes, can you get rid of yeast? Well, your body needs a certain amount of yeast, you know? It needs a certain amount of yeast. But most of us, especially as Americans, we have an overabundance of candida. And so I would always highly suggest that your daily regimen includes something that works on yeast. Like, you know, yeast is always like you're always working towards the goal of keeping your yeast down, because that helps your intestinal health. And if your gut is healthy, then the rest of your body systemically becomes even healthier. So as an antifungal, tell me how that's used. How would you, like, what could you do? How could you use, what would you do with the rosemary to make it an antifungal? What would you do? Has anybody used it as an antifungal?
I haven't, but maybe I was thinking like tea. Would you make tea?
You could drink it. You know what? A good combination would work with that would be rosemary and Parteraco. Have you heard of Parteraco?
No.
Parteraco is a tree that grows in Brazil, and they use the bark of the tree, and it is a high antifungal plant. The bark is high. It has high antifungal properties, and it's one of the top herbs, I think, in helping to lessen the fungus among us that grows in our intestinal tract. So if you combine Parteraco with rosemary in a tea, that's a good way to alleviate some of the symptoms. What if you had like jock itch or athlete's foot? What if your antifungal came, what if your fungus came that way? What do you think a good way to use the rosemary would be? How would you prepare that? Which way would you use that? Somebody give it to me. Anybody?
I'll tell you, she was telling me, so she says she uses the baby's cradle cap.
Baby.
In a toenail. She uses it as a poultice.
Oh, a poultice is good. A poultice you could do, but if you had someone smaller, like you had a toddler or a child, you could simply brew the tea, and you could add tea tree oil to the tea, and then add a little vodka to it if you wanted to preserve it, or if you didn't want to preserve it, you want to use it fresh. Put it in a spray bottle and just spray it on the surface. Wherever the jockey, spray it on their scrotum. They could just spray it. Just do a little spray. Jock itch, spray it in their garment. You could spray a garment that has yeast, like if somebody has jock itch, you could spray their underwear and then put that into the wash. You could use a little borax with that, and that would really help to kill the yeast in the garment if you did not want to use like bleach or something like that. But you could use that combination. You could spray the person's feet with that, just let it air dry. That also works too. Poultice works really well as well. You could also use it to spray the scalp. If you had a yeast in the scalp, you could spray the scalp, cradle's cap in the scalp. That works. Make sure though, if you're dealing with yeast or Cradle's cap in the head, that once you do that and you massage that up and comb that out and wash that out, that you go back and you moisturize the scalp, especially if you're dealing with people of color. Our skin needs moisture, and so putting a little olive oil or avocado oil, and if you don't want to go that heavy, you can use a little coconut oil. Just make sure that you retain some moisture back to the scalp again. Is there any other way that you see that you can use rosemary in a significant manner for the body, other than this tasty cocktail drink? Y'all need to try it like this. We talk about all the medicinal purposes. This is the best way to get your herbs in daily. I told y'all I was an herbalist, y'all. Anybody else got anything they want to add for rosemary, or add to rosemary? If it's antibacterial, antifungal, what is it doing for? Did anybody find any information on rosemary for the cardiovascular system? What does it do for the cardiovascular system? Did you find anything on that? What about blood pressure or hypertension? You find anything on that? Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Melissa. Anything for the cardiovascular system, or outside of the immune system? Anything for the cardiovascular system or hypertension? Anything for the lymphs? Does rosemary do anything for the lymph system, the lymphatic system? No, nobody knows? Nobody knows? Okay, it's homework. Drink and do some homework on rosemary. You want rosemary to be as beneficial as she can in your life. Like, she already knows what she's come here to do. Do you know what you've come here to do? That's a good question, right? So if you have rosemary or you're working with rosemary, if rosemary is your ally plant, you want to make sure that you know all the potential benefits of rosemary and how she works and integrates herself with the human body. Just don't have the plant for looks and smell, okay? Just don't have it for looks and smell. She's here for a purpose. Let her do her purpose. Don't abuse her. She's very gentle. She's a gentle soul. Don't abuse her. Love on her. Talk to her. Give her a name. Rosemary is her first name, but you may want to give her a pet name. Name your plants. Claim them and name them. And let them work for you in the most beneficial ways ever. Is there anything that anybody else has for us for this Herbal Happy Hour? Anybody want to say anything? Anybody want to add anything to this Herbal Happy Hour? For all of you who have tuned in late, I'm sorry you didn't get to see us make this beautiful drink called Always Bet on Black, but the replay will drop on our YouTube page, Sacred Waters Retreat. Make sure you subscribe and you click on the bell so that when the video goes up, that you know, and you can go and watch the replay. If no one has any other questions, I am going to bid everyone a farewell. Thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of the Herbal Happy Hour. I am your host and visionary founder of the Sacred Waters Retreat for Women of Color, the Afro-Botany Immersion Conference and Certification Program in Costa Rica, and the NCP School of Herbalism and Holistic Health, the oldest African-American herbalism school in the South. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. And I hope that next week you'll tune in to our last installment for our podcast for the month of April on Wednesday night, 6 p.m., Seed, Soil, and Soul. We'll have an open forum. I do have some questions, so if you want to tune in, next week it's open forum. We don't have any guest panelists next week. We'll just be kind of shooting the breeze, talking about some things that make us happy, some things that we can do as a community, some things we can do as a people, some things we can do as a family. If you want to tune in, I'd be glad to have you. Otherwise, have a really good weekend. Be safe. Love on yourself. Have a drink. Have a piece of chocolate cake. Go for a walk. Smile at somebody. Cash app somebody $5 that you know needs some money. Do something kind. Extend the level of compassion past your own comfort. That's right. Be compassionate past your own comfort level. Tell somebody you love them. I love you all. See you next week. Bye.